The plastic stick trembles in my hands, those two pink lines blazing like neon signs announcing the future I've dreamed about for 3 years. My heart hammers against my ribs as I hear Marcus's key turning in the lock of my apartment. This is it. This is the moment everything changes, when the man who's been dancing around commitment finally gets the push he needs to make us official. I practice the words in my head. Marcus, we're going to be parents. No, too clinical. Guess what, baby? We made a baby. Too casual. Maybe I should just show him the test. Let those beautiful blue eyes of his do the talking when they light up with joy. The door swings open and I'm already smiling, already stepping forward with the test hidden behind my back like some precious gift. But then I freeze, because Marcus isn't alone. She's stunning in that effortless way that makes women like me feel invisible. Blonde hair that catches the afternoon light streaming through my living room windows, wearing a white sundress that probably costs more than my monthly rent. Her manicured hand is interlaced with Marcus's fingers like they belong there, like they've been connected for years. The pregnancy test suddenly feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. Helena. Marcus's voice is different, colder, like he's talking to a stranger instead of the woman who shared his bed, his secrets, his lazy Sunday mornings for 3 years. We need to talk. My mouth goes dry. Behind my back, my fingers tighten around the plastic stick until I'm sure it might crack. Who is she, Marcus? The blonde woman. God, she's even more beautiful up close. Shifts uncomfortably, her grip on Marcus's hand loosening just slightly. She has kind eyes, I notice. The type of woman who probably volunteers at animal shelters and sends birthday cards to her grandmother. The type of woman who definitely doesn't deserve what's about to happen to her life. This is Sarah, Marcus says, and I watch as he looks at her with an expression I thought was reserved for me. My fiancé. The word hits me like a physical blow. Fiancé, not girlfriend, not someone he's casually dating. Fiancé, as in someone he's planning to marry, someone he's chosen to spend forever with. And it's not me. You're what? The words scrape out of my throat like broken glass. The pregnancy test is cutting into my palm now, its sharp edges a welcome distraction from the way my world is tilting sideways. Sarah's face softens with something that looks like pity, and somehow that's worse than if she'd been cruel. Helena, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Marcus told me about you, about your arrangement, but we've been together for 2 years. We're getting married next month. 2 years. While I was falling asleep in Marcus's arms, while I was cooking dinner for him every Tuesday when he said he had to work late, while I was planning our future and picking out names for the children we'd have someday, he was building a life with someone else. 3 years, Helena. Marcus's voice cuts through my shock like a blade. 3 years, I've been living a double life, and I can't do it anymore. Sarah and I were getting married next month, and I need you to understand that what we had, it was never meant to be permanent. Never meant to be permanent. The man who whispered forever into my ear just last week, who traced lazy circles on my bare shoulder while talking about the house we'd buy someday, the trips we'd take, the life we'd build together. That same man is standing in my living room telling me I was temporary. You knew I wasn't ready for commitment, he continues, and I want to laugh because it's so absurd. Not ready for commitment? He's wearing an engagement ring, he's planning a wedding, he's committed enough for Sarah, just not for me. The pregnancy test slips from my fingers, clattering to the hardwood floor between us like a bomb with its pin pulled. All three of us stare at it, those 2 pink lines impossible to ignore. Sarah's face drains of colour. Is that? But what about the baby, Marcus? My voice doesn't sound like mine anymore. It's raw, desperate, the voice of a woman watching her entire world crumble. What about our baby? Marcus stares at the test, and for just a moment I see something flicker in those blue eyes. Fear, maybe. Or regret. But it's gone so quickly I might have imagined it, replaced by something cold and final. That's your problem now, Helena. I never asked for this. 8 words. 8 simple words that rewrite the last 3 years of my life, that turn every memory into a lie, every promise into a joke. I never asked for this. As if this baby, our baby, is some inconvenience I've dumped on him. As if he wasn't there every time we made love, every time he whispered about how perfect we were together, every time he held me afterward and made me believe I was his whole world. Sarah's hand flies to her mouth and she takes a step backward like my pregnancy is contagious. Marcus, you never told me she was... Because it doesn't matter, he snaps, and the harshness in his voice makes us both flinch. It changes nothing, Sarah. We're getting married. We're starting our life together. This, he gestures at me, at the test, at the ruins of everything I thought was real. This was always temporary. Temporary. There's that word again, and I want to scream that nothing about the last 3 years felt temporary. Nothing about the way he held me during thunderstorms, or the way he brought me soup when I was sick, or the way he made love to me like I was something precious and irreplaceable felt temporary. But maybe that's the point. Maybe I'm the only one who felt that way. I think we should go, Sarah whispers, tugging at Marcus's arm. She won't look at me anymore, won't look at the pregnancy test on the floor. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Marcus nods, already turning toward the door like he can't wait to escape. Like the last 3 years mean so little that he can just walk away without a backward glance. Marcus, wait! The desperation in my voice makes me cringe, but I can't stop myself. We can figure this out. There's nothing to figure out, Helena. He doesn't even turn around. You'll be fine. You always are. And then they're gone, and I'm alone with the pregnancy test and the echo of those 8 words that have just redefined my entire future. That's your problem now, Helena. I never asked for this. I sink to the floor, my back against the couch where Marcus and I watched movies every Friday night, where he told me I was beautiful, where he made me believe in forever. The baby inside me is barely the size of a poppy seed, but already it feels like the weight of the world. Marcus promised me forever. What he doesn't know yet is that some promises can't be broken. They can only be twisted into something he never saw coming. 3 weeks pass in a blur of morning sickness and sleepless nights. I've called in sick to the diner so many times that my manager, Dave, is starting to ask questions I'm not ready to answer. How do you explain that you're carrying the child of a man who's about to marry someone else? How do you admit that you've been living a lie for 3 years? The apartment feels like a mausoleum now. Every corner holds a memory of Marcus, the coffee mug he always used, still sitting in the sink because I can't bring myself to wash it, the indent in the couch cushion where he always sat, the book he was reading, bookmark still marking page 127, waiting for him to come back and finish it. He won't be coming back. I'm staring at the eviction notice taped to my door when I realise I've been surviving on the fantasy that he'd change his mind, that he'd come back, apologise, tell me he made a mistake. But the rent is due in 5 days, and the tips from the diner barely cover groceries, let alone the $1,200 I owe for this month. The baby is the size of a blueberry now. I looked it up online, spent hours reading about fetal development and prenatal vitamins I can't afford. According to the pregnancy app I downloaded, little Blueberry has a heartbeat now. A tiny, rapid flutter of life that's depending on me to figure out how to survive. That's when I remember Marcus's laptop. He left it here 3 weeks ago, forgotten in his rush to escape with his perfect fiancée. It's been sitting on my kitchen table like a silver monument to his carelessness, and I haven't touched it, because some part of me believed he'd come back for it. Now I realise he probably has another one. Of course he does, one for his real life with Sarah, and one for his fake life with me. My hands shake as I open it. The screen flickers to life, and I hold my breath, waiting for a password prompt. But Marcus always was too confident for his own good. The desktop loads immediately, cluttered with files and folders I don't recognize. At first, I'm not sure what I'm looking for. Maybe old photos of us, evidence that what we had was real. Maybe emails from Sarah, proof of how long he's been lying. But what I find is so much worse and so much better than anything I could have imagined. The folder labelled Meridian Industries catches my eye first. Marcus works for Meridian as their head of procurement, a job that always seemed too fancy for someone who grew up in a trailer park like he did. The salary he claimed to make never quite matched the expensive dinners, the designer clothes, the talk of buying a house in the suburbs. I click the folder open and my breath catches. Spreadsheets, dozens of them, with numbers that make my head spin. Purchase orders for equipment that was never delivered. Invoices for services that were never performed. And at the bottom of each document, Marcus's digital signature, authorizing payments that disappeared into accounts I don't recognize. My hands are trembling as I open another folder labelled Offshore. Bank statements from institutions in the Cayman Islands, Switzerland, Singapore. Accounts with balances that have more zeros than I can count. And every single one of them is in Marcus's name. He's been stealing. For years from the looks of it. Systematically, methodically, millions of dollars funneled from his company into accounts that Sarah probably doesn't even know exist. The man who told me he couldn't afford to move in together because he was financially responsible has been embezzling enough money to buy a mansion. I'm so absorbed in the documents that I almost miss the sound of footsteps in the hallway, keys jingling, a familiar voice saying, "I'll just grab it and go, I promise." Marcus. I slam the laptop shut and shove it under a pile of bills, my heart pounding so hard I'm sure he'll hear it through the door. The key turns in the lock. Of course he kept his key, and I'm standing in the middle of the living room like a deer in headlights when he walks in. He's alone this time, wearing a suit I've never seen before, probably bought with stolen money. His hair is perfectly styled, and he smells like expensive cologne that definitely wasn't in his arsenal when he was sleeping in my bed. "Helena." He stops short when he sees me, like he expected the apartment to be empty. "I just came to get my laptop." "What? Laptop?" The lie comes out automatically, and I see his eyes narrow with suspicion. "The one I left here 3 weeks ago. Silver Dell, probably on the kitchen table." He takes a step toward the kitchen, and I move to block his path. "I haven't seen it." Another lie, but this one feels different. Powerful. Like I'm finally playing a game where I know the rules. Marcus studies my face, and for a moment I see a flicker of the man I thought I knew. The one who used to trace my cheekbones with his thumb and tell me I was beautiful. But it's gone quickly, replaced by irritation. "Helena, I need that laptop. It has important work files on it." Work files. He means the evidence of his crimes, the proof that he's been living a double life in more ways than one. The irony is almost funny. He's been lying to me about loving me and lying to his company about stealing from them. Marcus has turned deception into an art form. "Maybe you left it at Sarah's place," I suggest, and I watch his jaw tighten at the mention of her name. "You know, where you actually live." "Don't." His voice is sharp now, the mask of politeness slipping. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." "Harder for who? For you?" The anger that's been simmering in my chest for 3 weeks finally starts to boil over. "You destroyed my life, Marcus. You left me pregnant and alone, and now you're worried about a laptop?" "I told you, that's not my problem." He pushes past me toward the kitchen, and I follow, my bare feet silent on the cold tiles. "I never promised you anything permanent, Helena. You knew what this was." What this was? 3 years of my life reduced to a casual arrangement. 3 years of believing I was building something real, something lasting. 3 years of being played by a man who's apparently been playing everyone. He's searching through the papers on the table now, growing more agitated by the second. Where is it, Helena? I know you have it. Why is it so important? I ask, leaning against the counter with my arms crossed. Just work files, right? Can't you just re-download them from the company server? The colour drains from his face, and I know I've hit something. Marcus isn't just worried about the laptop, he's terrified. Because if those files fall into the wrong hands, if someone discovers what he's been doing, his perfect new life with Sarah will crumble faster than mine did. It's not that simple, he says, but he won't meet my eyes. There are confidential documents, client information. If it got out, it could ruin people's lives. Client information. Is that what he's calling the millions he's stolen? The elaborate scheme he's constructed to fund his double life? Whose lives, Marcus? Yours? Sarah's? Or the people you've been stealing from? The words hang in the air between us like a challenge. Marcus goes completely still, his hand frozen above the pile of papers. When he finally looks at me, his eyes are cold as winter. I don't know what you think you know, Helena, but you're wrong. Am I? I pull out a chair and sit down, my hand unconsciously moving to my still flat stomach. Because it seems to me like you've been very busy. Busy stealing money, busy lying to everyone, busy building a life with someone else while I thought I was building one with you. He's scared now. I can see it in the way his hands shake slightly, in the way he keeps glancing toward the door like he's planning his escape. Marcus Caldwell, the man who convinced me I was crazy for wanting commitment, who made me believe I was asking for too much, is terrified of a pregnant woman with his laptop. You don't understand, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. It's complicated. Business is complicated. Then explain it to me. I lean forward, my voice sweet as honey. Explain why you have bank accounts in the Cayman Islands. Explain why you've been authorizing payments for services that were never performed. Explain why the man who couldn't afford to move in with me has been stealing millions from his company. The silence stretches between us, and I can practically see the wheels turning in his head. He's calculating, weighing his options, trying to figure out how much I know and how much damage I can do. Finally, he straightens up, adjusting his tie like he's preparing for a board meeting instead of a confrontation with the woman carrying his child. What do you want, Helena? And that's when I realize something beautiful and terrible. Marcus Caldwell, the man who promised me forever and left me with nothing, has just handed me all the power. The game is about to change completely. What do I want? I repeat his question slowly, savouring the way his face has gone pale. The man who walked out on me 3 weeks ago is standing in my kitchen, practically begging. It's intoxicating. That's a very interesting question, Marcus. He shifts his weight from foot to foot, his expensive shoes squeaking against my worn linoleum. Look, Helena, I know you're upset about everything, but whatever you think you found on that laptop, you're misunderstanding. Am I misunderstanding the $2.3 million you transferred to account number 847592 in the Cayman Islands last month? I watch his eyes widen. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding the invoices for the construction project that was mysteriously cancelled after you'd already approved payment to a company that doesn't exist. His mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. In 3 years together, I've never seen Marcus speechless. It's almost worth everything he put me through. You need to give me that laptop, Helena. This isn't a game. You're right. I stand up, smoothing down my oversized sweater, one of the few clothes that still fits over my growing belly. This isn't a game. Games have rules, and you threw out the rule book the day you brought your fiancé to my apartment. Sarah has nothing to do with this. Sarah has everything to do with this. The words explode out of me with a force that surprises us both. She's marrying a criminal, Marcus. She's about to tie her life to a man who's been stealing millions of dollars. Don't you think she deserves to know who she's really saying I do to? He takes a step toward me, and for the first time since I've known him, I see something dangerous flicker in his eyes. You wouldn't I? I tilt my head, studying him like he's a puzzle I'm finally starting to solve. 3 weeks ago, I thought I knew you. I thought you were the man who held me when I had nightmares, who brought me flowers every Friday, who told me I was the love of his life. But that man was fiction, wasn't he? So maybe the woman you think you know is fiction too. He runs a hand through his perfectly styled hair, and when he speaks again, his voice is different. Calculating. What do you want? Money? I can transfer $50,000 to your account today. Enough to cover the baby, medical bills, whatever you need. 50,000. Like I'm a problem that can be solved with a payoff. Like 3 years of my life, the child growing inside me, the future I'd planned, like all of it can be erased with a number in my bank account. You think this is about money? I laugh, and the sound is bitter even to my own ears. Marcus, you stole millions. You've been living a double life for years. You're about to marry a woman who has no idea she's falling in love with a lie. And you think I want $50,000? 100,000 then. Helena, be reasonable. Reasonable? The word tastes like poison. You want me to be reasonable. You destroyed my life and now you want me to be reasonable. I walk to the window, looking down at the street where Sarah's BMW is parked. She's sitting in the driver's seat, checking her phone, probably wondering what's taking her criminal fiancé so long. She looks so young from up here, so trusting, like I used to look. She's beautiful, I say without turning around. Sarah, how long have you been planning to leave me for her? It wasn't like that. How long, Marcus? The silence stretches for so long I almost think he won't answer. When he finally speaks, his voice is barely above a whisper. 2 years. 2 years. The confirmation hits me like a physical blow, even though I already knew. 2 years of him planning his exit strategy while I was planning our future. 2 years of him building a life with someone else while I was falling deeper in love with a ghost. Does she know about the money? I ask. No. The answer comes quickly, defensively. Sarah doesn't know anything about the accounts. She thinks I'm just good at my job, that I make a decent salary, that you make an honest living. I turn back to face him, and I can see the fear in his eyes growing stronger. What do you think she'll do when she finds out her perfect fiancé is a thief? Helena, please. And there it is. The word I never thought I'd hear from Marcus Caldwell. Please. Think about what you're doing. If this comes out, it won't just destroy me. It'll destroy Sarah too. She's innocent in all this. So was I. The words hang in the air between us like a verdict. I was innocent too, Marcus, but that didn't stop you from destroying my life. He's silent for a long moment, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. When he speaks again, his voice has changed completely. The fear is still there, but now it's mixed with something else. Desperation. What do you want me to do? Leave Sarah? Come back to you? Is that what this is about? The question catches me off guard, and for just a second, I feel that old familiar flutter in my chest. The part of me that loved him for 3 years, that built dreams around him, whispers that maybe this could work. Maybe if he came back, if he chose me, we could build something real this time. But then I remember his words. That's your problem now, Helena. I never asked for this. I remember the way he looked at me like I was nothing, like the baby growing inside me was an inconvenience he could just walk away from. I remember Sarah's kind eyes and how she's about to discover that the man she loves is built on lies. No, I say finally, I don't want you back, Marcus. I want justice. He flinches like I've slapped him. What does that mean? It means Sarah deserves to know who she's marrying. It means your company deserves to know who they've been trusting with their money. It means this baby, I place my hand on my stomach, deserves better than a father who pretends it doesn't exist. You can't. I can, and I will. I walk to the kitchen table and pick up a manila envelope I prepared this morning. You want to know what's really beautiful about technology, Marcus? Email. It's so fast, so efficient. One click and information can reach so many people at once. His eyes lock onto the envelope in my hands. What is that? Your wedding gift to Sarah. I smile, and I know it doesn't reach my eyes. Copies of your bank statements, the fraudulent invoices, the offshore accounts, everything. Because I think every bride deserves to know exactly who she's walking down the aisle to meet. Helena, no, you don't understand. If this gets out, I'll go to prison. My life will be over. Your life? I laugh, and this time it's not bitter. It's sharp as a blade. Marcus, your life ended the day you walked out on me and our baby. Everything since then has just been borrowed time. He lunges for the envelope, but I'm faster, clutching it against my chest as I back toward the door. 3 weeks, Marcus. That's how long I've had to think about this, to plan this. Did you really think I'd just disappear quietly? Did you think I'd just accept being erased from your perfect new life? Helena, please, think about Sarah. She doesn't deserve this. You're right. She doesn't deserve this. She doesn't deserve to marry a criminal. She doesn't deserve to build a life on stolen money. She doesn't deserve to find out in 5 years when the FBI comes knocking that everything she thought was real was a lie. I'm at the door now, my hand on the knob. Marcus looks like he's aged 10 years in the last 10 minutes, his perfect composure cracking like ice on a frozen lake. But most of all, I continue, my voice steady as steel, she doesn't deserve to have her new husband's pregnant ex-girlfriend show up at her door someday with a baby that looks just like him, demanding answers about why Daddy abandoned them. The colour completely drains from his face. You wouldn't! Watch me. I open the door, and the sound echoes through the hallway like a gunshot. You promised me forever, Marcus, and forever isn't over just because you decided it was. As I walk down the hallway toward the stairs, I hear him calling my name, but I don't turn around. The envelope in my hands feels like a weapon, like justice, like the first real power I've held in 3 years. Sarah's wedding is in 3 days, and I have some gifts to deliver. The wedding venue is everything I expected it would be. Rolling green lawns, white roses twisted around marble columns, guests in designer clothes sipping champagne that costs more than my monthly grocery budget. Sarah looks radiant in her flowing white gown, her blonde hair pinned into an elaborate updo that probably took 3 hours to perfect. She has no idea her world is about to implode. I watch from across the street, hidden behind the tinted windows of the rental car I can barely afford. The ceremony doesn't start for another hour, but guests are already arriving, parking their luxury vehicles and air-kissing their way toward the garden where Marcus will promise Sarah forever. The same word he whispered to me just 4 weeks ago. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Helena, we need to talk. Don't do this. M. I delete it without responding. Marcus has had 3 days to come clean to Sarah, 3 days to confess his crimes, 3 days to show even a shred of the man I thought I loved. Instead, he's been texting and calling non-stop, each message more desperate than the last. Yesterday's highlight was, I'll leave Sarah if you want. We can work this out. Too little, too late. The manila envelope sits on my passenger seat like a loaded gun. Inside are copies of everything. Bank statements, fraudulent invoices, offshore accounts, even a timeline I meticulously constructed. showing exactly when Marcus started stealing and how he used the money to fund his double life. Sarah's wedding gift, as promised. But as I sit here watching the woman who unknowingly stole my future prepare for the happiest day of her life, something unexpected happens. I start to feel sorry for her, not enough to stop what's coming. Sarah deserves to know who she's marrying, but enough to make me realise that destroying her wedding day feels too much like something Marcus would do. Cruel, calculated, designed for maximum damage with no regard for collateral casualties. I'm not Marcus. I refuse to become him. My phone rings and I glance at the screen expecting another desperate plea from my ex-lover. Instead, it's a number I don't recognise with a 202 area code. Washington, D.C. Helena Martinez? The voice is professional, female, unfamiliar. This is Special Agent Catherine Walsh with the FBI Financial Crimes Division. We need to talk. My blood turns to ice. The FBI? How do they know about... Miss Martinez, we've been investigating Marcus Caldwell for 8 months. We know you've been in a relationship with him, and we know you recently came into possession of his laptop. 8 months? They've been watching Marcus for 8 months, which means they know about the embezzlement, the offshore accounts, probably everything I found and more. Which also means... Am I in trouble? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. That depends entirely on your cooperation, Miss Martinez. Can you meet us at the Marriott downtown in 30 minutes? We have a proposition for you. I look across the street at the wedding venue, at Sarah adjusting her veil in front of a mirror someone is holding for her, at Marcus glad-handing guests in his perfectly tailored tuxedo. Neither of them knows that their perfect day is about to become the worst day of their lives. But apparently, neither did I. I'll be there, I tell Agent Walsh and hang up. The FBI agents are exactly what you'd expect. Serious suits, serious expressions, serious briefcases full of serious documents. Agent Walsh is younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s with sharp eyes that miss nothing. Her partner, Agent Rodriguez, looks like he could bench press a car. Miss Martinez, Agent Walsh begins, sliding a photograph across the hotel room table. How well do you know this man? It's Marcus, but not the Marcus I know. This is a surveillance photo, grainy and taken from a distance, showing him entering a building I don't recognise. The timestamp says it was taken 6 months ago. I thought I knew him very well, I answer honestly. But I'm starting to realise I didn't know him at all. Agent Rodriguez leans forward. What can you tell us about Marcus Caldwell's financial activities? I tell them everything. The laptop, the offshore accounts, the fraudulent invoices, all of it. They listen without interruption, occasionally exchanging glances that suggest none of this is news to them. When I finish, Agent Walsh pulls out another photograph. This one makes my heart stop. It's me, walking into my apartment building, carrying grocery bags, clearly pregnant. The timestamp is from yesterday. We've been watching you too, Miss Martinez. We know about the baby, we know about Marcus abandoning you, and we know you've been planning some kind of revenge at his wedding today. My mouth goes dry. How do you... We've been monitoring Marcus's communications. His desperate text to you, his panic about the laptop, it painted a pretty clear picture. Agent Walsh's expression softened slightly. Helena. Can I call you Helena? Marcus Caldwell isn't just an embezzler. He's the key player in a money laundering operation that spans 3 countries and involves over $50 million in stolen funds. 50 million? I'd thought the numbers I found were big, but this is astronomical. We've been building a case against him for months, but we needed someone on the inside, someone he trusted. Agent Rodriguez slides a document across the table. Someone like his pregnant ex-girlfriend who has access to his personal files. I stare at the paper without really seeing it. You want me to be an informant? We want you to help us put away a very dangerous man who has hurt a lot of people, including you." Agent Walsh's voice is gentle but firm. "In exchange, we can offer you witness protection, a new identity, financial support for you and your baby. A fresh start away from all of this." A fresh start. It sounds too good to be true, and my mother always taught me that things that sound too good to be true usually are. What's the catch? The catch is that Marcus can never know you cooperated with us. As far as he's concerned, his arrest today is the result of our ongoing investigation, not anything you provided. You'll have to live with him thinking you were just a scorned ex-girlfriend with a laptop. Agent Rodriguez checks his watch. The ceremony starts in 20 minutes. Our team is already in position. But we need to know, are you with us? I think about the envelope in my rental car, about Sarah adjusting her veil, about Marcus promising forever to another woman while his crimes finally catch up with him. I think about the baby growing inside me, Marcus's baby, but mine to protect. What happens to Sarah? She'll be questioned, but our investigation shows she had no knowledge of Marcus's activities. She's a victim too, in her own way. Just like I was. Just like the company Marcus stole from. Just like everyone who trusted a man who turned lying into an art form. I signed the document. I'm back in my rental car when it happens. The FBI moves like a choreographed dance. Black SUVs surrounding the venue, agents in tactical gear, the works. I watch through my windshield as Marcus is led away in handcuffs, still wearing his wedding tuxedo, his perfect hair finally mussed. Sarah collapses when they tell her, her white dress spreading around her like spilled milk on the perfect green lawn. Her bridesmaids rush to help her up, their faces shocked and confused. My phone buzzes with a text from Agent Walsh. It's done. New identity paperwork will be ready in 72 hours. Congratulations, Helena, you're free. Free after 3 years of being trapped in Marcus's lies, after weeks of planning revenge that would have made me just as cruel as him. I'm finally free. But as I watch Sarah being helped to her feet, as I see the ruins of what should have been her perfect day scattered across the lawn like broken dreams, I realise something that makes my blood run cold. The baby kicks for the first time. And in that moment, feeling my child move inside me, I understand the beautiful, terrible truth that Agent Walsh didn't mention in our hotel room meeting. Marcus's arrest wasn't the result of an 8-month investigation. It was the result of an anonymous tip called in 3 days ago by someone who knew exactly where to find evidence of his crimes. Someone who wanted him destroyed but was smart enough to let the FBI do the dirty work. Someone who played the FBI just as expertly as Marcus played me. I start the car and drive away from the ruins of Sarah's wedding, my hand on my belly, already planning the life I'll build for this baby with my new identity, and the witness protection money that will make us comfortable for years. Marcus promised me forever. He just never realised that forever was exactly how long I was willing to wait to win. The game was never about revenge. It was about checkmate. And I've been playing chess while everyone else thought we were playing checkers.